They say we all carry things no one else can see. Memories that hurt, words that still weigh on us, guilt that never belonged to us. And without realizing it, we move through life as if we were wearing an invisible backpack that grows heavier every day. This is the story of a young man who learned that it's not always life that weighs us down. Sometimes, we are the ones clinging to stones that keep us from moving forward. And it's also the story of how a simple encounter can remind us that letting go is not losing. It's reclaiming the freedom we forgot. Today you will hear the story of Elian and the backpack that almost ruined his life. Elian was 19 years old and looked like an ordinary guy. Thin, messy hair, and eyes that carried more exhaustion than anyone his age should ever know. He lived alone with his mother in a small apartment and spent his days between university, a part-time job, and the constant feeling that something inside him was always on the verge of breaking. But what no one knew, not his mother, not his friends, not even himself, was that on his back he carried an invisible backpack. It wasn't a physical backpack. It had no zippers, no compartments, no adjustable straps. You couldn't see it, but you could feel it. The strange thing was that Elian didn't remember when he began carrying it. What he did remember was when it began to weigh. It all started the day he received that call from the hospital. His father, who had abandoned the family years earlier, had been in an accident. And even though Elian hadn't seen him since he was 12, something in that call placed the first stone in his back. Guilt. Guilt for hating him. Guilt for not wanting to go to the hospital. Guilt for not crying. Guilt for feeling like he didn't feel anything at all. That night, when he lay down, he felt a slight pull on his shoulders. He thought it was stress, but it wasn't. It was the backpack, and it wouldn't be the last stone to fall inside. Time passed, and with it, Elian's unresolved emotions began to materialize inside that mysterious backpack. Every time he argued with his mother, another stone appeared. Anger. Every time he felt he wasn't enough, another one dropped. Insecurity. Every time he failed at something, the backpack swallowed another. Fear. Every time he pretended he was fine, a small but constant stone formed. Silent sadness. The backpack gave no warning. It made no noise. It just grew heavier, day after day, step after step. In class, Elian could no longer focus. He fell asleep easily. His shoulders hurt. He walked slouched without knowing why. He felt short of breath, overwhelmed, saturated. And still, whenever someone asked if he was okay, he answered, "Yeah, I'm just tired." And maybe it was true, but it wasn't a tired body. It was a tired soul. One morning, after a night full of nightmares and tangled thoughts, Elian woke up with the feeling that something was terribly wrong. He tried to get out of bed, but he couldn't. His arms moved. His legs did too. But the weight on his back was unbearable, as if someone had placed a bag of cement on him. He couldn't sit up. He couldn't rise. He couldn't breathe properly. He simply couldn't. Panic took over him. He tried to speak, but his voice came out weak. He tried to call his mother, but she had already left for work. He tried to move again, but the backpack, that backpack that didn't exist, yet was more real than ever, held him trapped. What's happening to me? He thought through tears. And for the first time in a long time, he cried. He cried for everything he had ignored. He cried for everything he had carried. He cried for the emotions he had never embraced or admitted. And as he cried, inside the backpack, the stone seemed to vibrate as if feeling his release. When he finally managed to stand, the day was already well underway. He didn't go to class. He didn't go to work. He simply walked with no destination, as if his feet knew where to take him. He didn't know it yet, but that day would mark a before and after. Elian arrived at an old, almost empty park. The cold wind moved the leaves, and the bird song sounded distant. He sat on a bench and let his head fall into his hands. He didn't know how long he sat there, breathing, crying, feeling that unbearable weight that seemed to grow by the minute. Then he heard a voice. "I see you're carrying too much, boy." Elian lifted his gaze. In front of him stood an old man with a white beard, serene eyes, and clothes as worn as his years. He walked leaning on a polished wooden cane. "Excuse me," asked Elian. "The backpack," the old man replied, pointing at his back. "The one that bends you, even if you can't see it." A chill ran down Elian's spine. I don't know what you're talking about." The old man smiled with a patience that was almost disarming. "We all carry an invisible backpack. In your case, it's fuller than it should be. Want to know how I know?" Elian nodded, unable to speak. Because I had one too, the old man continued. And it almost took my life. The old man sat beside him and took a deep breath, as though every word he was about to say had been learned through pain. Listen, kid. We're all born with an invisible backpack. Empty, clean, light. But throughout life, we put stones inside, some that don't belong to us and others that do, but we don't know how to let go. Elian listened without looking away. Guilt, fear, anger, sadness, the words others told us and we accepted as truth. All of that becomes weight. And someday, always, you reach a point where the backpack won't let you move forward. The old man looked at him with a firm yet gentle gaze. The mind becomes empty when you release what you were never meant to carry. Elian swallowed hard. And how am I supposed to let go? The old man looked toward the horizon. By recognizing each stone, naming it, understanding that you are not what you carry, and then letting it go, one by one. Elian lowered his gaze. And what if I have too many? Then you start with the first one, the old man answered. The heaviest one. You always know which one it is. Elian closed his eyes. He breathed, and he saw it. Not physically, but he felt it. Guilt. That guilt for not loving his father the way he was supposed to. For resenting him. For not crying when he died. For feeling he didn't fit the image of a good son. It's guilt, he whispered. The old man nodded. Guilt is one of the most treacherous stones. It makes you believe you must carry actions you didn't commit and emotions you didn't choose. But tell me, did you choose for him to leave? Did you choose the distance? The absence? The wounds? Elian slowly shook his head. Then it's not yours, the old man concluded. Let it go. The young man inhaled deeply, and in his mind he held that gray, heavy, cold stone. And as he let it fall into the void, a strange lightness spread across his back. For the first time in years. Now comes the anger, said the old man. The one you carry from arguments with your mother. And the one you feel toward yourself when you don't meet your own expectations. Anger was big. It burned. It stung. But when he let it go, it felt as if his lungs could expand a little more. Then came fear. Then sadness. Then insecurity. Then all those phrases he had repeated to himself for years. I'm useless. I'm not enough. I'm a problem. I can't do this. Each one was a stone. Each one placed by his own pain and the pain of others. And every time he let one go, his body straightened a little more, as if his spine remembered its true shape. When he released the last stone, Elian stood upright. He breathed deeply. He felt the wind. He felt the ground. He felt his life pulsing inside him. The backpack was still there, but light. Empty. Ready to fill again, but this time with things he chose to carry. He looked at the old man, eyes shining, not with sadness, but with relief. Thank you, he whispered, voice trembling. You have no idea how much I needed this. The old man smiled, with the tenderness of someone who has seen many lives break and rebuild. Don't thank me, he said. Thank yourself. You chose to let go. Elian blinked for a moment. He needed to breathe, to process, to absorb what had just happened. He stood up to hug the old man, but when he turned around, he was gone. No footprints, no trace, no sign that anyone had been there. Only the echo of his words lingering in the wind. The mind becomes empty when you release what you were never meant to carry. And that was when Elian understood something. Not every encounter is accidental. Some people come into your life right when you're about to fall, to remind you that you can rise. Elian returned home with firm, light, almost renewed steps. That night, he slept without nightmares. The next morning, he woke without that pain in his shoulders. And as he looked in the mirror, for the first time in a long time, he saw someone different. Not perfect, not invincible, but free. And he understood that the backpack would never disappear. Everyone has one. Everyone fills it. Everyone carries something. The difference is learning to let go. And Elian had learned. The rest of his life was only just beginning. Sometimes it's not life that weighs us down. It's us clinging to what no longer belongs on our path. And when you finally let go, you discover you were always capable of walking lighter, freer, more yourself. Sparkles, if this story resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe, leave a like, and join me for more stories that touch the soul and transform the heart, one story at a time.